Welcome to the first episode of Science on a Banknote. Today we're going to talk about how we see colors, how we can print colors, and how this determines the color of our money. If we look at our banknotes, green is clearly the dominant color. In Europe, that's not so obvious as we don't have the 100 so often in our pocket. But if you think on the new fiver, it goes much more in the green direction than its predecessor. And if you go to the US, the dollar, a banknote that probably everyone on the world knows, it's also green. And it's the case in nearly every country on the world. So, why is this the case? What makes green so special for banknote design? And the first reason can be found in the way our vision works. In our eye, on the retina, we have two different types of cells. First of all, the rod cells that enables us to see difference in dark and light, and also enables us to see at night. And then you have the cone cells, where we have three different types of them, and they enable us to see the different colors. And interesting is how these cells work together to make our vision. In this graph we see the sensitivity of the cone cells. We have here the sensitivity and here the wavelengths in nanometer. And the visible light ranges from about 380 nanometers to around 600 nanometers. And I already draw in the different curves. They are not terribly exactly, but good enough for our purpose. And first of all, we have the so-called S cone, and that peaks at about 420 nanometers, and therefore in the blue area. Then we have the M cone that peaks at about 530 nanometers, and therefore in the green area. And last but not least, the L cone that peaks at around 560 nanometers, and therefore in the yellowish area. Interesting is now the curve of the rod cell, what looks something like this. So we go up and down again. It's a bit wider than I drawn it in, but okay. The important part is that it peaks at around 500 nanometers and therefore also in the green area. And that means that we have on our retina two different cells that are sensitive for green light. And therefore we are very good in differentiating green tones, much better than blue tones, as we can see in this graphic. And therefore it's much easier for us to spot a fake due to color mistakes when the banknote is green than when the banknote is blue, for example. All this in mind, you may ask yourself why the 50-euro note, the one that is predictable, the most counterfeit one, isn't green, when green is such a good color. And the reason for this is that our eye can see the colors only half part of the story. The other half is how our brain processes this color. And the 50-euro note is in this orange, yellowish area. And that's first of all the area where the L cone is very sensitive. And secondly, and in this case more importantly, this is also the area associated with skin tones in Europe. And evolutionary, we are very good trained in differentiating in various skin tones. It's very useful for us as human beings. For example, in communication, when we see that our counterpart gets slightly red, it can be a sign that he's lying to us. Also, it's very important to monitor our health status. For example, if we see slight changes in our skin tone, that can be a sign that we're getting ill, and we can be able to see this in a very early stage and therefore can start to fight the illness in a very early stage, can be very useful for our well-being. And therefore we can see this color range very, very good as well. Another reason for green to be so good for banknote design lies the difference in the way we see colors and the difference we can print colors. And on this book we find the CIE 1931 color space. And in this chart we see the colors we can detect with our eyes. And as you see, the green part is much bigger than the yellow part, for example. And when we're using digital technologies, that means our screen, our digital camera, or a scanner, for example, we have to use the RGB color space. And as you see here, this color space is smaller than the one we can detect with our eyes. In printing at our desktop printer or at most of the commercial printers, we use the CMYK color space. It stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and key just means black. And depending on how we print these colors next to each other and on top to each other, we can mix all the colors we want. Yellow and cyan give green, for example. But as you see here in this graph, this color space is smaller than the RGB one. That's also the reason why most of your holiday pictures look better on screen than printed. And it's much smaller than the one we can detect with our eyes. And in banknote printing, we usually use spot colors. That means the ink have already the color we want, thanks to some special pigments. And these colors lie always outside the CMYK color space, and in most cases also outside the RGB color space. For the 100 euro note, that's around here, for example. But the average counterfeiter can reproduce only this color range. And as you see, the distance between the real color and the fake color is especially big in the green area. And combined with our ability to see green colors very good, that's a big plus for the security. And last but not least, also historical reasons play a big role in the decision which color our banknotes get. We always associate a certain color with a certain value. Red with the 10 euro note, for example. And when we introduce a new banknote series, we normally just keep this color scheme. The simple reason is we want to make it as easy as possible for the people to get used to the new banknote series. And that's the way our money gets its color. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have questions, just write it down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes. And thanks a lot for watching and have a nice day.